G'day there, I'm Seccombe from the Centre of Excellence. I'm here to discuss about a few very basic principles about fielding that we're trying to implement at the Centre of Excellence in Brisbane with our young players coming through, that we're trying to fast track into the Australian team and into state high performance teams as well. My role's at the Centre of Excellence, so I work very closely with some of our really good elite young players coming through with the provision to make them better players for Australia. Now, fielding and wicket keeping is my charter, and it just doesn't happen at that level. In order for Australia to be strong at international cricket and our state system, we need great cricketers coming through at every level, and that's from the grassroots all the way through. Because fielding and keeping is my charter, I encourage you all to get stuck into some fielding programs, developing athletes. Think of it as your role to assist Australian cricket, but also to get the most out of these young kids that we've got working with. We have to develop good movement patterns that encourage kids to be able to throw themselves around, hit the ball hard, bowl fast, whatever it may be. But fielding has to be on the agenda. Fielding is one of the three disciplines of the game. If we're not putting emphasis on fielding, we're doing a disservice to the young kids that we're dealing with. They have to have the ability to field and to catch and throw. Fielding is the third discipline. We put a lot of energy and time into batting and bowling, but the time's come, the game's at the point where fielding is equally as important as those three disciplines, so much so that in today's current game there isn't room for a specialist batter or just a specialist bowler. You have to have two of the three disciplines, and where preferable you've got to have three of the three disciplines. So we're doing a disservice to our young kids and to our elite athletes if we're not putting the time and the energy into their fielding programs. Fielding traditionally is focused on a lot of running around, very basic sort of activities, which is all great to get the body moving and going, but we've got to understand that catching is the most crucial element to our program. Just a quick stat, if we go back the last 2 years in Ford Ranger Cup, of all the dismissals, 70% were taken as catches. A further 7% or 7 or 9% were taken as runouts, and the rest mixed up with the bowlers taking LBWs or bowled, whatever it may be. Just goes to show the importance of catching. We've all heard catches win matches. I also believe that catches probably change seasons, win tournaments, win events as well. So that's an area that we've really got to focus on. To catch a ball effectively, obviously, it takes a lot of work. It's not an easy task. I mean, there's no other sport in the world that involves catching a ball this size, hit at the pace that it comes at us, using our bare hands. Baseball does it, but they use a glove. There's nothing that springs to mind that indicates, that shows how difficult it is to catch a cricket ball coming at you at pace. So we have to be prepared. Obviously, time at training, but also too, our preparation and our setup is crucial. One part of that is the eyes, and visually we have to be watching the ball. Goes without saying, but it's amazing how often we don't track the ball properly. What happens is we generally pick up the ball from the point of impact off the bat. That's when our eyes pick up where the ball's going, and then our mind and our eyes actually track it in sequence, or we don't track it the full way, but our mind and our eyes go to where we think it's going to. So we see it in sections. So it's absolutely crucial that the last point we're watching the ball as late as we possibly can. We have a really hard focus on the ball as late as we come. I think it's quite obvious. We see a lot of young kids, even professional cricketers, catch a ball and they get to this point here and their eyes come up off the ball. Now, we want to be seeing eyes as close to watching the ball into the hands as we possibly can. Now, in theory, it's probably impossible to watch the ball, to track the ball all the way into our hands, okay, because our eyes aren't that quick to do it. But if we can see the ball as late as possible, or we can see part of the ball, we're halfway there. Great example is Matthew Hayden fielding in the gully. He'd be in a really strong catching position, and you would see him hold that position long after the ball's been held in his hands. He would track it and he would see it late. A good cue for with your young kids, with any program that you've got going, is to put some markers on the ball and see if they can identify what the marker is and see it as late as possible. You don't have that luxury in a game, but maybe the seam is a focus to see what that seam's doing before we take the ball. In order to see the ball and track the ball, we have to be in good position as well. Our eyes get us halfway there, but our body does the rest. So it's a matter of getting into a strong, powerful position so that we can react laterally to track the ball. But then we've always got to lead with our head. All right. Too often we're seeing people take catches this way and their weight's going away from where the ball needs to be. When training, get set up nice and strong here, balanced position there, and the ability to lead with your head and take the ball. All right. Every ball should be taken two hands ideally. Now when we go two hands, we have to go with the head. The moment we go with one hand, we have the luxury of pulling away from it, or we're doing ourselves a disservice by pulling away from it. But if we can go with two hands and lead, we're generally in a really good position.